Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning for the ELO webinar, ELO Records Management, EDRMS Made Easy. So first and foremost, I really would like to thank Andrew and the team who have put a lot of work into this webinar. And of course, I'd like to thank you for all attending, simply because it's really hard in these days to join webinars, specifically with some often bandwidth problems. So without further ado, I would just introduce the team, and then after the team, talk a little bit about ELO, just a few words, and we will then go into the product demonstration. My name is Rainer Krause. I'm the Managing Director of ELO Digital Australia. We are responsible for the Australasian region, so everything really between New Zealand, Australia to India, if you want to say. Andrew is joining us as well later in the live discussions. Andrew is a consultant residing in Perth, and is well in charge of business development. So both of us, we are going to take you through today's presentation. A little bit of housekeeping, so you can hide the taskbar or you can expand the taskbar. Everybody is muted. We just wanted to make sure that we do not have any background noise. If you have any questions, please do so. There is a questions tab. We will come to all of those questions during the session. At the end, we're going to have a Q&A session. But even if time does not permit us to go through all questions, we will respond to them via email. So there's no problem in even asking some questions late. Tomorrow and overnight, we're going to create the closed caption version of this, so to ensure that everybody can take advantage of seeing what we have. I'm now taking you a little bit through the company itself. So ELO is a global company. We are in 40 plus countries. Got over 1 million users at 30,000 live sites. We got more than 400, and it's a growing number of business partners who can help you to help either your taxpayers or your users to ensure that they stay compliant. We got very large customers. I think I just want to point out one here, the European Air Defence System, which is the mother company of Airbus Industries. And of course, we've got government customers all over the planet. ELO Australia, we were incorporated in 2005, a privately owned company. And as I said before, we are really looking after the entire Asia Pacific region. We got customers in federal, state, local governments, a lot of shires and councils who wanted to replace their legacy systems. We helped them to do so. And as well, as I saw today on some threads with RIMPA, that companies want more than just replacing their old legacy system. They want more. They want business processes incorporated. But we are not just a records management company. We are as well a document and workflow company. Specifically in the aeronautics, we have really large customers, such as subsidiaries of Qantas, subsidiaries of Virgin, Alliance Airlines, and if you allow me to quote Royal Flying Doctors as an airline as well. So we are really agnostic towards the industry we're working with. Today, though, we want to focus on records management. And we want to focus on records management made easy. That is the key problem whenever we talk to our prospects or to our customers. In the past, they had systems, they just did records management, and they were just clunky. We want to show you today how easy it can be to have a system that every user can use. So no death by window, no closed architecture or something like this. Andrew will show later in a short video how this all works together. For all of you who want to know exactly what we are doing, so we are panel members, just a few examples of the Western Australian Local Government Association. We're a panel member of the Department of Defence, CSIRO, Department of Infrastructure, Regional Development, Premier and Cabinet, various, so not just one. Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, but this one is as well very special for us, the Department of Industry, Innovation and Science. The reason why we got really on there is because we were not just doing one thing, we're doing many things. And we're helping companies to be better. And just one recent example we have given is we've integrated ELO with Google Maps. So if you are putting a document, a photo into ELO, even into the records management, we can extract the EXIF data and can show you on Google Maps where that document or that photo has been taken. That can be associated then with your records, whether it's incident management, or any other workflow that are required. Theoretically, we can even put this from external documents. So somebody from the outside world submits a photo, we can show you where that photo has been taken. So, as I said earlier, a lot of us, we're still working from home. So we thought, okay, today may be better to pre-record the product demo. After the product demo, the video, of course, Andrew and I, we will be live back. I will take notes for the questions during the session. So I will write them down already. As I said earlier, we may not get to all of those questions, but we will definitely send those questions down. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Andrew. And Andrew, at the very beginning, will really play the video to show you the system itself.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining. Today I'm just going to introduce you to the ELO client and the functionality for users that allow them to easily file documents whilst maintaining compliance for your organization. On my screen at the moment, I have the web client for ELO. This is in a Chrome browser, but it's compatible with the majority of browser applications like Internet Explorer and Firefox. When you log into the client, you're presented with the My ELO area, which has tiles to quickly access certain areas, and recently used documents, so I can go straight to a document that I'm working on from here. Along the top, we have functional areas, and then we have the menu button. So I'm just going to click on repository to show you the repository view. In this layout, we have the menu buttons and the ribbon of the menu. On the left, we have a repository folder structure. Now it's laid out like this to make it really easy for users because they should be familiar with this layout like a shared drive, where they navigate and drill down to find documents stored in the appropriate location. In the middle area, we have a preview area, which will display the contents of a folder, or for a document, it will display the preview of the document. On the right side, we have a collaboration area. This is where information about the document is stored, and people can actually add comments in here and collaborate on documents and also on individual files. The icons have been color-coded to make it easy for users to recognize where they can store documents. You can see the icon on here looks a bit like a filing cabinet drawer. In here is where we'll store our documents. The actual structure that we've used is a structure that conforms to the keywords for council. This structure can be easily implemented in the beginning, and then you can customize it as you need. This saves a lot on installation setup and time required for you to create your own BCS. So having a compliant BCS structure to begin with saves a lot of effort for everybody. Each file contains metadata. That metadata is information about how the file is stored, the file number, which is unique, security, classification, retention information, so how long that file is going to be kept for when it's closed. And we can also set permissions on individual files as well as at the folder level. Permissions can be synchronized from the existing Active Directory or LDAP user directory service, as well as single sign-on is supported. So for the installed application on the computers, that can be set to run and log in on startup based on the user's login credentials. Additionally, you can create shortcut areas and put them at the top of your ribbon. So here I've created one for training. This will take me directly to the training location and removes all the other folders. This is handy for when I'm working in a certain area and I don't need to worry about all the other repository structure. Bearing in mind, with the repository structure, users will only see containers that they have permission to see. If they don't have permission, it won't appear. It won't appear as a grayed out icon or a non-selected icon. It just won't appear in this structure list. So the first thing I want to show you is just adding a document to the repository. So I'm just going to click into an empty file and simply drag and drop a document into the repository. When a user brings a document into the repository, they're presented with the keyword form. The keyword form is our terminology for the metadata form. The metadata form provides basic information about the document that's being stored. Now with ELO, it automatically populates as much of the metadata as possible. This reduces the amount of work that the user has to do. You can see here it's automatically captured the document title as the name of the file. This can still be modified at entry time or later date. Anything with a star symbolizes that it's a mandatory field. Here I'm choosing a document type. All of these selections are customizable for your organization. Everything else has been auto-populated. A unique document number has been created. This unique document number format can be changed or modified based on your own requirements. The document owner being the user that's logged in, and the file number is the file number that this document is being allocated to. So as you can see, everything is quite automated and the user has to do very minimal to add the document to the repository. Once the document's been added, within the client, it's quite easy to see the document. So when we're viewing the repository, we don't have to necessarily check documents out or drag them out of the system to see what the document contains. The next thing I'm going to show you is adding an email to the repository. Again, it's as simple as dragging and dropping into the client. The metadata form or the keyword form automatically populates all required information. All I need to do is choose a document type. In this case, I'm choosing email, but it might be something different depending on the content of the email. Click OK, and the email is now filed. Not only is the email filed, but we can see that the attachment has been filed as well as an attachment within the email. So you can see it's easy for users to add documents into the system and for the records compliance task to be automated. Now that I've shown how to add documents, I want to show you how to search for information. So I'm going to click on the search area. And in here, I can just type in words that I want to search for. So first, if I search for the word guide, you can see that the word guide appears in a lot of different documents. I can continue to add words to the search to reduce my search results. Additionally, you'll notice a bar. This bar represents the relevance of the search term. The more that the search term appears in the document, the higher the relevance is. Additionally, if the search term appears in part of the metadata of the document, it gets a higher relevance rating. If we have a look at the keywording of this form, you can see that the name invoice appears in the document title and in the short name, as well as within the document, whereas in the next document it doesn't appear in the keywording name information. We can further limit our search results by opting to not search within the document. If I take full text out of the search, then it's not looking for the word within the document. I've further reduced my search results to only documents that have the word invoice and guide in the metadata of the document. So we can see there in keywording, invoice appears and guide appears. The full text searching applies to all documents that are inserted into ELO. When a document is inserted into ELO, the text within the document is added to the repository. This means that you can search for words that not only appear in the metadata we've captured, but within the document itself. Additionally, it's easy for users to go to the repository location by right-clicking on the document and choosing Go To. Here it's taken me to the file that contains the document, and now I can see other documentation that might be related to what I was searching for. I'm now going to show you the installed ELO client. Before I start working in the installed client, I'd like to show you a side-by-side comparison of the web client to the installed client. As you can see, they're very similar. This makes it really easy for users when they need to work in the web client. For example, if they need to work from home on a BYOD device or remote device, it's limited training required because they have the same look and feel between the two environments. The advantage of the installed client is that it integrates into the Office suite of products. The installed client is available for macOS, Windows, and Linux, and again has the same look and feel for users. So let's take a look at the integration with the Office suite of products. I'm just going to create a new document in Word. Just going to add a line of text. Now, in the Office ribbon, you'll notice that you have a button for ELO and the ability to file the document directly to ELO. When I do that, I'm presented with the selection to choose where to store the document. Here I will choose the ELO webinar folder that we're using for this webinar and click OK. Again, I'm presented with a metadata form or the keyword form. Mandatory fields have a star and also colored red. I'm going to choose guide. And just like before, you can see that all the metadata that can be captured automatically is automatically completed. So here's a unique document number already assigned to it and the containing file number. Because I haven't saved this document yet, because it's a temporary file, the title may not be relevant. One thing that you may notice is that when we file a document into ELO, is that the short name has been converted. It is prefixed with the document type and the name of the document we gave it. The naming convention used can be customized for your own requirements. This is just an example of the way that we can customize documents that are stored in ELO. Additionally, it is quite easy for us to check out a document and edit it in Word. I do that by right-clicking on the document and choosing Checkout and Edit. Now I'm presented the document in Word. I'm just going to add a line to this so we can see the difference. I save my changes and I need to check the document back in. Note that while the document is checked out, it shows the user that has it checked out and nobody can edit it whilst I'm working on it. When I check it back in, I'm shown a screen about version control. Version control is on by default on all documents in ELO. When I add a new version of the document, the version number automatically increases. I can actually do minor and major version control numbering quite easily by changing it here. I can also add a comment. This helps other people in an organization understand why the document was edited. I can right-click on a document and choose document versions to see all the versions of a document. It shows me the date that the version was made, who made it, and any comments. Additionally, I can select a previous version to view an older version of the document. This is helpful in case a document has been edited and information lost in a newer version. When a document has been worked on and has been finalized, you may want to convert it to a PDF. ELO makes this easy for you to do by having the control within the client. Clicking on PDF conversion will convert this Word document to a PDF by opening the Word application and outputting it as a PDF. Now in the repository, the latest version of this document is a PDF. I've seen a lot of organizations lose Word documents that were the original creation of PDF. The advantage of having everything in ELO is that I still have my original Word document. So at a later date, I can go back to the Word document, edit the Word document, and then convert it back to a PDF. Now that we've seen how Word integrates with ELO, let's take a look at Outlook. Again, in Outlook, we have an ELO button. We can select an email and choose File to ELO. When we do this, again, we're presented with the folder selection. The folder selection will always take me to the last folder I was using. I also have a list of recently used, and I can save favorite areas as well. I'll choose the same location we've been working in. Again, I get a keyword form, and you can see it's automatically populated the document title with the subject of the email. Again, I will choose email, and you can see that it has been assigned a unique document number, and it contains the file number that it resides in. Additionally, in Outlook, the email has been prefixed in the subject field as ELO. This lets me know that I've filed this email to ELO already and prevents me from filing it again. If I try and file this email again, the button doesn't work. This is another great feature of the ELO product, duplicate document detection. One of the main things we try to do is minimize the amount of duplicate data and also the amount of duplicate source material. It's quite common to find users with different versions of documents. We try and minimize this with duplicate detection. Sometimes a PDF may be emailed to more than one person in the organization. If everybody filed the PDF, there'd be multiple copies of it in multiple areas. When I try and file a document, even if it's to a different area, ELO should detect that there's a duplicate. So here it knows that someone else has filed the PDF in a different area. I can create a reference which would actually link to the original object, but it won't let me store the document twice. This minimizes the amount of wasted space and also reduces the amount of different versions of documents in different locations, which is a big headache for shared drives. You can see here that I've added a reference to the PDF and not the PDF itself. It's indicated by a shortcut icon on the left. Multiple references can be stored within the repository, allowing users to link to the original source material without the source material being duplicated within the repository. Let's take a look at searching again. The interface is similar to the web client. We just enter in our search terms. You can see here I've used the word analytics, and it is showing me everywhere that the word analytics appears in the document. We have the relevance and a bar graph style so that we know the chance of this document relating to what we're looking for. Again, we can add words to this to reduce or increase the result set. So here, if I choose the word ELO, you can see that I have a lot of documents. Not just that, but I have some folders. If I change it just to documents, I'll have an even smaller list. And again, I can reduce that again by adding more text to it. Now I've chosen ELO and personnel, and I only have one document showing. Complex searches can also be exported. Additionally, I can save searches. This is very handy for complex search queries that you do regularly. And once I've saved, they appear as a favorite. I can also share favorite searches with other users as well. Another area in the client is the in tray. And the in tray is set up for scanning purposes. So users can have the MFD scanned directly into their ELO in tray. So when you scan a document, it will appear here. And this area allows users to do a bit of manipulation with their scanned document before it gets filed. So functionality like splitting up a PDF into separate pages, or even joining pages together. These functions would normally be found in a separately installed application, and they're just added as part of the ELO client, make it really easy to get scanned documents into the system. Once I've prepped my scanned document, then I simply save it into ELO. Again, you can see it automatically coming up with my location that I last used, or any favorites that I may want to use. And again, it's very easy for the user because everything's filled out. All they need to do is choose a document type. And it's filed in the repository. So the main thing that we're trying to demonstrate is it's very easy for your users to be compliant in the records management system. And the software, whether it's installed locally on their computer or accessed remotely from a BYOD device, is the same interface for them to use, so that the training is very minimal and it's very easy for the users to pick up. Of course, once you've stored documents in there, you might want to distribute a document. Again, that's very easy for the users. There's buttons here that just allow me to click on Send Document, which will create an email, automatically set subject up as the name of the document, attach the document to it, and I still have my signature and everything ready to go. When sending documents internally, users should use the Sender's ELO link. Now, the link is basically a shortcut, but it's a shortcut to the document in the ELO system. So unless I'm logged in and I have rights to the document ELO, I'm not actually going to be able to open this document, which makes sure that everyone's conforming to the security policies. So to ensure that you're not sending documents to users that don't have permissions, it's better to send the link for that regard, but also minimizes the amount of space that's being stored in the email server, because here I'm sending just a shortcut, which is under 100 bytes, as opposed to 6 meg or 10 meg files around. So it helps reduce the amount of storage that you're wasting on your mail server as well. So in addition to the user functionality, the records management tasks are also built into the client so that all the records management tasks are required to manage the system in the same software. So we're not using a different application, or we're not remoting into a server or anything to make changes. So the first common task is creating a file or inserting multiple files into the system. So if I just create a new file, I'll just call it test for now. I can choose a file owner, and that's basically a person or a department that's responsible for this file in regards to whether it can be closed, whether it can be retained and or disposed of. Additionally, I can choose it to be a hybrid or a paper file. Obviously, some paper files still exist, and this records management system ensures that we can maintain paper files where they're located and also where they're moved around within an organization. You can see the file number has been automatically created, a unique file number. And again, that file number format can be customized based on what you prefer. The security classification by default is unclassified and can be changed. The retention disposal has been automatically completed based on the default that was assigned for this BCS container structure. So a default is assigned for each of the folders in your container classification, but you can also change that from the default. And then permissions. So we can set the permissions now or later as to who's allowed access to that file. And that's all, again, synchronized with your LDAP or Active Directory service. Because I chose insert files, I actually can add multiple files, which makes it quite easy rather than having to keep clicking backwards and forwards. But for now, I'll just create the one file. So that's the main function. Creating a file is quite easy. And again, closing a file is just as easy as selecting that close file button in the records tab, choosing the date that you're closing and clicking OK. One thing I'd like to mention is that users who don't have permissions to records management tasks don't see this tab. So it's only the records managers who have permissions will see any of this functionality and the actual tab itself. When a file is closed, we can do other functions like reopen it or even dispose of it. A disposal report will give me a list of all closed files that are due for disposal, and then you can start a workflow to get authorization from the owner to dispose of that. We can also set up a legal hold in case there's a legal case that's been opened on a particular file. Then setting up a legal hold on it prevents it from being disposed of. It can't be changed. And then at some point when that legal case is finished, we can remove the legal hold. We can print file labels and storage labels for our paper files, as well as the storage contents. The RM configuration is a nice GUI interface that lets us change our BCS. So the structure of this BCS is defined and cannot be changed unless you're a records manager with permission to change the RM configuration. And then we have bulk updating of home location and current location for, again, physical or paper files that we want to move around in bulk. So that's it in a nutshell. I just wanted to show how easy it is for the users to stay compliant, whether they're working in the office or remotely at home or on a BYOD device, and how easy it is for record managers to open files and close files and manage the information within your organization while staying in compliance for your regulations. Thank you very much.
This is a nice picture from New Zealand, and the really good news yesterday, New Zealand is virus free. So what I'd like to do, first and foremost, thank you, Andrew, for that informative video. Everything we are showing will, of course, be uploaded to our channel, and then you can look at that later. A few people have notified us that they couldn't make it in time. So what I've done is I've been busy in the background to write a few of those questions that came through. Let's go quickly through some of them. I couldn't write them all down, but can we link documents? Yes, you can. So when you put a document into the system, you can link a document either one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many. So ELO allows you to do this and link, for example, invoices with purchase orders. Can I create my BCS, my own BCS and disposal authority? Yes, you can. What we showed today was really a keyword for counsel, but of course, at any point in time, you can change that if you are authorized to do so. We have customers who have created their entire BCS themselves. Take the example, the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine. They didn't have anything. They did not even know exactly where to start the whole thing, so they created over time. Junee Shire Council, very, very simple. They said, we want keyword for council, and then we were really up and running from start to finish, trained within 15 days. Can ELO match paper record, the paper locations? Yes, it can. Inside the metadata form, the keyword form, when a file is created, you can determine whether it is an electronic file, a hybrid file, or a paper file. And if it's a paper file, then you can store all the paper records in there with home and current location. We have an old legacy system, TRIM. Can we migrate? Yes, you can. We have done this a few times all over Australia, so it doesn't have to be TRIM. I think there came one question later as well with RecFine. We have experience to migrate those systems to ELO. Does your PDF converter meet requirements for PDFA? Yes. When we are converting, it is essentially using a capability of a PDF printer in the background, and then you can select what PDF type you want. Usually it is PDFA, so it's going and being compliant. If our scanner does not support OCR, will ELO do that for us? Yes. You do not need to have a PDF or any document that is already pre-OCR'd or scanned document. Everything that goes into ELO will automatically undergo the OCR process. That means as well, pictures, for example, we have seen this in the past that people were searching for specific terms and it returned a JPEG. Yes, we have staff in WA and Tasmania. In Tasmania, we have a partner, ISW, and obviously, as you heard, that Andrew and other crew members are in WA. RecFine, the same as we had before with TRIM. Can I create my own workflows? Yes, you can, and I show you that here. So I, in the meantime, have opened a virtual machine. And in that virtual machine, I just put in ELO. So ELO has its own workflow engine, so where you can create your own workflows. So let's go just to the last questions. CapEx or OpEx? Yes, ELO is available as a CapEx solution, so you can outright purchases, or you can have it as well as a subscription. It's an OpEx solution, and we have recently as well introduced the records management as a service. We have teamed up with great companies such as Vota, Record Solution, IEA in WA. So essentially, we are the technology nerds, but essentially we are recommending some of the records management consulting firms to help you to have that records as a service. Wonderful. So great, and have a lovely day, and we see you soon and hope to hear from you again. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.